We had a question this week about how to replace the rear brake cable of a SwiftyZERO or a SwiftyAIR, so we thought we'd make a quick video to show you how to do it. So the first thing to do is to disconnect the brake cable at the back. All you need is your 5mm Allen key to undo the nut at the back. There you go. Take the little rubber boot off and the quick release brake cable, and that'll be nice and free there. Next thing you need to do is at the top of the brakes, disconnect the brake cable like so. Oh, that's the front brake cable. The rear brake cable is here. I guess if you're going to be replacing the brake cable because you fancy a new color, you'll need to do both anyway. The rear brake cable is particularly tricky because, as you can see, it goes through the frame, underneath the footplate, and to thread it back through is pretty tricky, but I'm going to show you a top technique now on how to do it at home. So I've taken the front fork and the handlebars off just to make it easier to film and maneuver this around. You obviously don't need to do that for when you're doing it yourself, but for the purpose of this video, it makes it a bit easier. So, okay, you've disconnected the brake at the front and at the back. The next thing is to, unfortunately, have to remove this little end cap here. So you can try pulling it off with a pair of pliers, or you can just nip it off like so. Then the little storm rubber boot can come off, and then the flexible noodle, that can come off. And if I flip this upside down, you can see that the cable runs underneath here and it goes through the hole. First thing to do at the front here is if you just give this a little wiggle and pull, you'll be able to take off this retaining plastic cap. If you're struggling to get this part out, then you can use a normal tire lever because it's plastic and it won't damage the paint. Use the kind of sharper pointy end to get behind and just prise it out like that, and it should pop out. Now you have to thread the cable through. So if you push from this end and pull from this end, it should start to come through. And there you have it. I've taken the brake cable out now, which you can see here. Remember, don't throw this bit away. You're going to need this to go back into the frame. It's really important when you're pulling it out to not pull too hard. You don't want to kink the cable, because if you do, it can get stuck on an edge. There is one or two little sharp edges inside. So just be nice and gentle, take your time, and you'll be good to go. So let's imagine this is your new brake cable. So if you're changing the color or just changing them in general because the old ones are a little bit worn, then what you need to do is note the two different ends. So this is the end which goes into the brake lever, and then this end obviously goes back to the end of the caliper at the end. So what you need to do, the little trick to get it to go through, because we pulled it out that way, is take the cable inner out, like that. Let's explain. So that's the cable inner, and this is the cable outer, just in case you don't know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this backwards through the frame. And what that's going to allow me to do is, if I put it on the table like this, I'm going to go into the little hole that's here. It's in the frame. And I'm going to keep pushing it in until it finds its way into the main tube. What you might need to do is just bend the cable ever so slightly so it kind of bends down, and you'll find once you've found that little hole like that, I can push it all the way through, and now I can see the cable inside this hole. Now a little tip is to take an Allen key, so take a nice skinny Allen key like that, and if you put your Allen key inside, you can kind of like fish the cable out. Now it can be tricky to do, but I've got it now. So I've hooked him, and then if I just pull this back, there we go, I've got it. Now, the trick is, what this is going to do is this is going to be a guide for the cable outer to thread back round this way. So we're going to push this back in. So we're going to and because we've got the cable inside the cable, it allows it to kind of bend round the internal holes that are inside the frame. And there you go, you can thread it through. Then what you need to do is pull this one back out and put it in the right way round, which is the other way. So we're going to take the end that's been trimmed and put it in that end, and it'll go all the way through. So thread them back through the little holes. There's some little guiding holes that are on the frame to help keep the brake cable in place. And then if you push from this end, locate all the holes. So there's 2 holes on the bottom of the frame. And then you'll see it pops out here. The next thing to do, don't forget, is the frame cap. So you need to put this on that way. So thread that down, and then you need to push it in nice and firmly, and it'll snap into position. There we go. Voila, we're done. Let's push the inner cable through the outer. So if you are changing them and you choose a color, and let us know what color you've chosen. It's a new funky color. It's always good to see what you guys are up to. And then the next job is to take the flexible noodle, so that's this thing here, and make sure you put it on the right way round. So there is a big hole in one end, that's the diameter of the end of the brake cable. The brake cable sits in there, so make sure you adjust it correctly. I've actually just nicked the end of my brake cable, and now it's become a little bit frayed, so I'm going to just trim off a tiny bit more to make sure that it's nice and straight. And now I'm going to push that back through, and it should swim through nice and easy. Okay, then the little rubber boot goes on next, and then you're ready. So you might just have to adjust the position so that it all fits nicely, and then it's a case of reconnecting everything up with the brake lever itself. Now you will need to put a new cap on the end of the brake cable. We do have those in stock, so if you need to buy one from us, let us know. If you are buying your brake cables from us, then we will supply that with the kit. But if you're buying it from a reputable retailer, they should be able to supply it as well. Replacing the front brake cable is really easy because it doesn't have to run through the frame, so that's straightforward. That's about it really. That's all you need to do. So follow up my little tip to how to run it through the frame, and you should be good to go. Thanks for watching today, guys. As always, stay safe out there and let the good times ride and roll. See you next time. Bye.